Feelin Fab is more than another wellness podcast. We will talk about topics that also include happiness hacks, biz inspiration, how-to topics, and interviews from experts in many fields. We hope to help you navigate your life with some helpful tools and tips to keep on grooving and staying happy. Welcome to the Feelin Fab Podcast, and I'm your host, Marissa. Hey there, listeners. Welcome back to another week, fabulous Friday of the Feelin Fab Podcast. I'm super excited for our guest today. It's my dear friend, Kasie. We have been friends for about 2 years now, and Kasie is just someone that I just jive with in so many ways. We have a lot of things in common, and so we're very fast friends, and we have some fun topics to talk with you today about. So everyone, welcome to the show, Kasie. All right, Kasie. Well, I'm so happy to have you on the podcast. Why don't you tell the listeners just, a little bio, a little bit about what you do and who you are, and I don't know.
Sure, absolutely. I like to talk about myself. Marissa and I feel like you and I have kind of like parallel lives. Like we both do music, we both do essential oils, we both have a lot of similar interests and probably personality traits. But I am a New York transplant. I now live in East Tennessee. And I am married, been married for 6 years. I've got 2 little kids, a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old. And I really love just anything to do with health and wellness and music. And I've recently really been enjoying learning about how to kind of just find what lifestyle works for me and my family, like just kind of taking away all the craziness and looking at what's left. And, life is short, just making sure that I have all my ducks in a row and stuff. I love living life. I just love adventure, Yeah,
same. Well, so good. I know. So last week on the podcast, I had my friend Allie on. We kind of talked about style and like branding, and I love your branding. I know you kind of recently redid your branding to Kasie Girl, Modern Wife, Natural Life, and you do all sorts of like really good tips on like just motherhood and like being a modern mom and a cool mom and a wife and, all sorts of like motivational tips and things like that. So I'm just curious, like, I think a lot of the people that are here listening to the podcast might have some sort of creative career. So how did you kind of come up with your branding or your tagline that you kind of have chosen?
Yeah, I'm first of all so happy that I finally found my brand. Like I feel like I was wandering aimlessly around for a little bit, just trying to find my voice, if you will. But Modern Wife, Natural Life is born out of this idea that I'm a fast-paced girl. I never lived actually in New York City, but I'm definitely just like, I'm a very self-motivated, on-the-go person. I'm not somebody who is going to be content with simply having a kind of really, really clear schedule all the time. I like to be doing things. It's like my love language, and it is also something that really drives me because I'm an extrovert. So I think of like the term modern wife because I like to do that. I like to work and raise my family. I like to pursue my passions and also stay at home. I try to get the best of both worlds as much as possible. And not always successful, but finding that balance is, always kind of just a balancing act. But that's where the term modern wife came from. And natural life was born more out of kind of just the way I try to live my life healthily, but then also naturally kind of like really finding value in just like what's right in front of me. Very clean, very organic, just as much as possible. And I'm not just talking about food. I'm talking about all things kind of in general. And then a weird little thing about myself too is that I've seen a lot of different brandings out there that are geared towards moms. And I do a lot of mom things because I am a mom. But when I first became a mom, I didn't really appreciate how all of a sudden all the hats that I wore were forgotten and it was just the one title. So it's very intentional that I have the modern wife in my subtitle of Kasie Girl as opposed to mom or mother, so that it kind of more includes the other things that I do and I feel like define me a little bit more in my personality. So that's where it all came about. But it took me about, I would say, 2 or 3 years to come up with my sort of identity and my find my voice and my people, basically.
I love what you're saying about, wearing different hats. I think so many of us do, and so many of us like to. And yeah, it's like, I know with my branding, I like struggled figuring out exactly like how I wanted to display myself, I guess, or
Right.
just present myself, because I do have like a lot of interests. So I love that your name kind of encapsulates, a few of those different pillars of your life. Like when I think of you, I think of cool mom, I think of like natural living, I think of minimalism, and just like full force passion with everything you do. So I would love
Good.
so it's coming off well, is what I was trying to say.
Good. That was my intention.
But yes, I would love to dive into one of the pillars that I know you are very good with, which is minimalism. So that's kind of our topic that we wanted to talk about today. And minimalism, like even the word, like wasn't on my radar till probably 2 years ago. I feel like it started getting really trendy with like Marie Kondo's show.
Right.
And there's like a fabulous Netflix documentary called Minimalism, or like The Minimalists. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that one with the two guys?
Oh, I have. Yep, most definitely.
Yeah, it's really good. And it's just a great concept that I think you can apply to a lot of different aspects depending on what season of life you're in. But I know this is something that you're super passionate about. So I would love to know, like, what does minimalism mean to you if you had to define it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Minimalism to me is not at all about necessarily owning less. I think I just want to get that misconception out of the way right away, because a lot of times people, maybe like myself, when I first heard the term minimalist or minimalism, I was thinking, okay, so these are the people who have 1 or 2 forks, knives, and spoons, 1 or 2 dishes, 1 towel, 1 pair of shoes, things like that. But And there's people who find that valuable to them, and that's fine, but it's not what defines it. So like, I just want to make sure that misconception is out of the way. Minimalism to me, if you want to even use the term minimalism, is all about surrounding yourself with things, activities, people that are of value to you, or of value to me, I should say, talking the first person here. And not only that, but I enjoy. They or as Marie Kondo says, they spark joy. They spark joy with me. Unless they're just fulfilling a very, very practical need that's not going to really make you super happy, but you need it, right? So that's what it means to me, and I'm amazed at how much it applies to not only your things and your stuff, but just your mindset, your life, your thought processing, the space in your brain even. It's just crazy, but that's what it means to me.
Oh, I love that. So, maybe like some people are hearing this word for the first time. So like, how do you kind of like start being a little bit more of a minimalist, or maybe just even decluttering your life a little bit and allowing more room for like joy and happiness and less stress? How do you kind of start that process?
Well, I know what it was for me. And so that's just what I would suggest to everybody to, I think, first of all, realize that it's not a one shoe size fits all. And I would recommend reading or listening to or watching something that speaks to each person about what minimalism is, so that you can kind of see what other people do and then take your favorite thing from there and go with that. For me, I've always been kind of like a neat freak, and I've loved organization my whole entire life. In fact, my family and I used to own a cleaning business back when we lived up in New York, and I was obsessed with folding our clients' clean laundry. And I would and I would stack it according to the colors of the rainbow and organize it and all this other stuff. But I would notice that every single week when we came back, no matter how beautifully I organized it, it was always just a mess. So similarly to Marie Kondo, I realized they just need less clothing. But I digress. But yeah, for people to start, I liked to start with physical items that I could touch and feel, because it taught me what I was looking for, because I didn't really know what I was trying to do. Was I trying to get down to the 2 forks and spoons? Like, no, not really. But I was trying to clear away the clutter so that I could see what was left. And then once I learned how to do that with my things, I was able to, and I'm still learning, it's a daily process and lifestyle, you know?
Yes.
But I was able to feel and kind of just get a sense for what it was for me to do that with things that are not tangible, things that you can't touch or even see, but you do see the results of it. So I would suggest to anybody who's new to it to do some research, something that's enjoyable to them, and then to just start with one area that is kind of like a no-brainer, a super duper easy thing where like maybe you just know you have way too many clothes and you've always thought this about yourself. And then just take them all out and go through them and be ruthless in your elimination, knowing that, you know, if it was less than $20, you can get it again later on if you decide that, if you change sizes or if your style changes or anything like that. And then hopefully bless somebody else with those items too, because somebody else might need them.
So good. I've done a really good job this year of minimalizing my office space and my wardrobe, but what's next up on my list is like my kitchen. And I have just like so many cookbooks I don't use, you know, that other people might enjoy. I have like just really like so many cups. Like so many cups. I don't need that many cups. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I just use them all the time.
You know, my favorite solution for cups is actually mason jars. Because
that's what I have.
Oh, well, see, well, if you need to get rid of some, pass them on my way, because I have children who break dishes constantly, and it's okay. Yeah. We just get new ones. But I love them because if you have the lids for them, they turn into leftover containers. You can take them with you on the road. They're very versatile. So, yeah.
So good. Yeah, I do love mason jars. Yeah. We have a lot of mason jars, but then we also have a lot of cups, and I really like the mason jars. So
nice.
Anyways, so like, you know, do you feel like having excess things causes stress? Because I know sometimes when I walk into a really cluttered space or I can't find things, like I definitely feel stressed out.
Definitely. And I think it's been scientifically proven, I think, as well. Like the common quote that we all know, I'm sure, is like a cluttered desk equals a cluttered mind. And although I feel like sometimes you have to create a chaos in order to do the full-on process of creativity, there comes a point in time where it's like, okay, you know, enough is enough. I actually can't see anything anymore. Yeah. So it definitely creates stress, whether it's because you can't find something and it takes you 5 minutes longer, which therefore means that you don't have 5 minutes to do your makeup, which means that then you don't feel as pretty or confident or like you were able to take your time in the morning, which means that if you do your makeup, you're going to be 5 minutes late, which makes you stressed or drive crazy and get into danger. I mean, it's just like the snowball effect. But like, yeah, I'm amazed at how much stress it creates. Like if I feel stressed out, my first gut reaction is to clean something up.
Yeah. My husband calls it stress cleaning. He can tell when I'm just doing normal cleaning and when I'm doing stress cleaning, because there's a difference.
Yes, there really is. There really is.
Yeah. Well, you know, like, so, you know, kind of to counteract that, what benefits do you think having a more minimalist lifestyle looks like?
Definitely just the opposites of that. I feel like everything takes way less time. And we don't necessarily, I'm not just including the fact that like now you're not going to be 5 minutes late anymore, but the space that it creates in my brain from not having to think about where an item is or where it goes or if it's floating around somewhere else that I haven't even thought of to look. It actually is not half as much time. It's like even more than that, way more time just to think about things, and you can see everything and you know where it is, and just that kind of assurance is really, really cool. And I feel like it takes a while to get to that point. I was remembering how last year at Christmas time, which was, a whole year ago, after we had our Christmas morning, we spent like maybe 30 minutes putting all the new toys away, and we were done. And then we looked at each other and we were like, wow, that was the easiest Christmas aftermath we've ever dealt with. And when you have kids, like, it's kind of a big deal because there's all this stuff. And I mean, we're Christmas with so many different family members and stuff. And that was the first time that I had experienced kind of like the harvest of all of my hard work. And so it's been really, really cool. Like, wow. So that meant that we actually had not only the rest of Christmas Day to just enjoy being around each other, but we had the whole rest of the week to be around each other and enjoy things, and knowing that we knew where everything was and we knew where to put it after it was unwrapped. It sounds like it's a little thing and it's a huge process, but it makes just such a huge difference, especially for families of small kids.
Yes, and I know that this podcast episode's coming out after Christmas, but I will say that it means so much when people gift me experiences rather than things. And, I'm not saying like, don't ever buy me stuff, but I just feel like you crave, that relationship more than you crave having stuff in your life. So, for example, Christmas last year, my husband got me tickets to go see Hugh Jackman in concert.
Oh my goodness.
I have a big crush on Hugh Jackman.
Me too. Oh my gosh.
He celebrates it, which I am very happy about. But I have like the poster on my wall that I got while we were there. But, I just think so fondly of like trips that I've gotten for gifts, or dates, or, different experiences. So I think that you can really just speak to someone's soul by giving them an experience instead of a thing that they might not use or might not want. So not saying that you have to do that, but I think that gifting experiences is such a good idea. So if you're like, trying to think of a last minute gift, like you can just even write like, make up your own little gift card and be like, this is good for a trip to the movie theater, or, X, Y, or Z, or get a gift card or something like that. Yeah, I just hate, like, sometimes I get stressed out about buying gifts for people because I'm like, are they going to use this, or is it just going to clutter their life?
Right. Yeah, because you don't know what their needs are necessarily. Those people are harder to gift for, but they always appreciate coffee gift cards.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So, do you have any like organization hacks of like things that really help you kind of just keep organized or tidy? Any tips or tricks for us listening that maybe need some help in that department?
Oh, I love organizing. I love it so much. And there's so many different styles and methods of organizing. I would say like the top tip, biggest thing I can think of is to kind of re-envision the way you do storage. And by storage, I mean anything that is not a piece of furniture or a flower pot, things that are out in the open and hanging on the walls. If they are not those, if they're not those items, then they are technically put away into storage, although it's not in your garage or in a bin somewhere. But anything that needs to be stored to make sure that you can see it. And that could mean a clear container, a glass container, or a basket that is opened without a lid on top. But this has been so helpful for me because, as simple as it sounds, you can't find something if you can't see it. So, and then if you can't see it, you think you need it and you go out and you buy it again. So, and actually another benefit of really paying attention to your items is that you actually save money because you know what you own and you don't end up buying extras or more of that. But that is one of my most helpful tips. And then you'll notice too that if you do clear storage containers or open baskets, you actually have less space available to you. So it kind of forces you to slim down your supplies to make sure that everything can be seen. So when you open your closet, you can see everything. You know what's in there right away. There's nothing hidden away. When you open up your dresser drawers, you can see everything right away. I love Marie Kondo's ways of folding. It's just a simple little thing. Oh yes, that is one of the first things that I did, and it was so helpful. I was actually able to see really quickly which shirts I wore and which shirts I didn't wear, and I did that for a month. And all the ones that I had turned around or backwards or upside down or something, I just ended up donating them all because I was like, I haven't worn these in a month. I don't think I'm going to wear them again. And they weren't like special occasion dresses or things like that. I'm not counting those. But yeah, that is the biggest hack that I have, is just to make sure you can see absolutely everything so that you don't go crazy looking for it. It forces you to minimize. And it's a big deal to apply that to all the categories in your home.
Oh, I love it. That's a great idea. What about like shoes? How do you store your shoes, Kasie?
Ooh, so I like to store things in a couple of different places. And I know that's a big no-no when it comes to some methods of organization. But I live in a tri-level home. So that means we walk in through our base floor level, which is kind of like a basement. Then you go up a few stairs, and then it's the main living area. And then if you turn around and walk up a few more stairs, then it's the bedroom area. So like I have 1 or 2 pair of shoes right by the door, the ones that I most often use. And then my other shoes, I keep them in, those like shoe cubbies. They almost look like the old-fashioned mail cabinets. So I've got one of those, and that's where I store my shoes. I also have short. Yeah, I might be a little dyslexic sometimes when I speak with my words. But yeah, I keep. I have 1 pair of winter boots I have to keep in my closet because it's too tall for that, for the shoe cubby. And I have 1 pair of wedges that I keep on my closet shelf because, again, they are not going to really fit very well in my shoe cubby. But yeah, that's what I do.
Nice.
It works well for us.
Now, I'm not an expert, but if I can give one tip for, just decluttering or minimalizing your life a bit, is to use multi-purpose products.
Yes.
So I just got a Ninja Foodie for my birthday, and I love it because it's like 3 kitchen gadgets in one. So, not sponsored by Ninja Foodie, but maybe it should be. But yeah, I love it because it's a crock pot, an Instant Pot, and a dehydrator, like all in one. So it's, it's a multi-purpose product, which means it just can do more than one thing. So yeah. I love trying to find stuff like that. The makeup I use, it all fits in one compact, and you just rebuy the tins when it runs out. So I love that. I don't have like the mess and the clutter of a huge makeup drawer. So shout out to my friend Sarah. We've done a podcast episode with Sarah Satch on makeup. I love the minimalist makeup. Yes. I know you love like essential oils because you can use them for like so many things, DIYs, cleaning, skincare, first aid, all sorts of things. Oils.
And what you said about the kitchen stuff, like that's probably, I feel like, the biggest category where people get caught up. Kitchen gadgets, like they get one thing that does one thing. And you can really clutter your kitchen with stuff like that. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just barely got rid of all of my crock pots. I held on to them for a little while because I'm like, I don't know if I can just have like this one crock pot in my Ninja Foodie. Because, before I had like a big crock pot and a small one, like for sauces, and like a medium one. So,
right.
But yeah, okay, I feel good about this. I'm going to get rid of the rest of the crock pots.
Good for you. But what's important about what you just said too is that you gave yourself a chance to see if you could do it. Like if you could make the switch and get rid of them. And I think that that's important for people to like give themselves some grace and a chance to see if they are happy with a new choice or decision. You can do that with clothes. You can do that with kitchen items and gadgets around the home, you can, declutter and be ruthless and then put them in a bin and set them in your car for a little while. And a month later, if they're still sitting in there and you didn't miss them, then take them over to the thrift store.
Time to say goodbye. Perfect. So I would love to know how to involve your family in being a little more minimalist, because maybe some of us, not speaking for myself, but maybe some of us are married to really cluttery people, and we don't want to be rude and be like, hey, can you get rid of some of your stuff? I don't know. Do you have any suggestions on maybe just introducing this to family members or even to children that we want to start implementing, some of these ideas, and at least just give it a try? How can we do this in a nice and friendly and exciting way?
Definitely. Yeah. And I think that is a really, really important question. And it's something that should definitely be heavily weighted and considered. Because if you are somebody like me, where I'm the mom of my own kids and they're still really little, I can teach them some tidying and minimalizing habits as just part of the other things that I teach them to do, like cleaning out their rooms or doing chores. One thing that I have noticed, though, that with small children, I'm starting to rephrase things a little bit instead of, all right, you're done with this, get rid of it. But kind of approaching it more from a gratitude, thankfulness aspect, like, wow, this toy has really served you super well, but I notice you don't play with it much anymore. Can you think of somebody who would like to have it right now? And then, so I'm noticing my 5-year-old is like, Mom, I think I'm done playing with this. Do you think Eleanor would like it? And she's starting to realize that, I don't find value in this item anymore, but somebody else might. And so that's huge. When it comes to much older children or spouses or anybody who you live, room, or board with or anything like that, it becomes a lot trickier because you, like you said, Marissa, you absolutely cannot, it is the biggest no-no to intrude on their things and to enforce a lifestyle on them. It's just a big no-no. So what I suggest is, and it's a very personal journey too. That's why you even if you successfully cleaned out your roommates' things and minimized for them, you are doing them more harm than good, because if they didn't do it themselves, they are literally turning around and going right back into their clutter. So it's really, really important to respectfully approach those around you and just to let them know what you're doing and why, and let them know that you are not going to be touching their things and you're going to be very respectful of their stuff, but that you just ask for them to support you and encourage you as you're trying to work on it. And then you kind of lead by example without ever really expecting their lifestyles to change, because it won't if you are expecting it to change, right? Mm-hmm. It won't happen that way. So just being a super gracious person. And this is something that I've struggled with a lot, because it takes some people a lot longer than maybe it took me to see the benefits. So I'm a very impatient person, and it can be hard for me to be like, why do you not see this right now? I can see it right in front of me. But you have to be gracious. And it's really humbling and very, very healthy for personal development. That is for sure. But yeah, that is how I would approach it.
Cool. Well, that's some great tips there. And then I guess one of my last questions for you is, how do you keep up with it? Because it's one thing to go through all of your stuff and declutter during quarantine, but it's another to, keep up with these habits, I guess, or even just create the habits in general. And I just would love some tips on how you keep up with it.
Absolutely. So for me, I've found that for each of my items, I actually have developed a criteria for myself. It doesn't mean that this is the only criteria out there. It's just what has worked for me. And I'll use clothing as an example because I love clothes and fashion so much. And I've gone through a lot of different sizes over the past years between pregnancies and just in general being in your 20s. So I had a lot of clothes. But the criteria that I keep for myself, once I got my wardrobe down to the size and the quality that I wanted, and I loved everything in it, was for every new item that I bought or kept, it had to, number one, fit me, and not only fit me, but look like it fit me. the way I wanted it to, right? There's a big difference between something fitting you and then, flattering you. And then number 2, it had to be comfortable, of course. Who doesn't want to wear comfortable clothes? And then number 3, it had to be versatile. So a pencil skirt that was such a soft fabric that you could also wear as an infinity scarf, or a tube top maybe, or something like that. Or you can wear it with more than 2 shirts. That would be another definition of versatility. And so just kind of applying that to everything else. We bring things into our homes every single day. And so you just want to kind of check yourself at the door, literally. Not everybody has a foyer. I do. And so I kind of set everything down and just make sure that, okay, these pens in my hand, that's right, they go where the pens go. There's only one place where the pens go. And then, these shoes, they go away. Everything goes away right away. If it takes me 2 minutes or less to do, the time to do it is now. It's not to set it aside. Like literally you can take 2 minutes and then it will save you an hour at the end of the day. So just making sure that everything goes through that criteria when you get gifts, when you go shopping, when you are considering upgrading an item that you have, or a mobile device or something like that. It just all goes through that criteria of, is it valuable to me? Does it improve my life? And is it versatile? That's probably the top 3 right there. Just check it at the door.
Cool. I love that. Check it at the door. And keep your receipts.
Yes. Exactly.
I'm sure there's a better way to keep receipts. I just keep mine all in like a little drawer. You could probably digitize them so you don't have, paper clutter, since we're talking about that.
Very true.
I wanted to give a little shout out because I do love learning about minimalism, and some of my favorites to learn a little bit more, if you're interested, is there's a book by Marie Kondo, if you haven't heard of her, but it's called the life-changing, what is it? The
life-changing magic of tidying up. That's what it is.
Yes. It's a great book. And then I also love watching YouTube. So I have 2 people that are kind of have minimalist lifestyles on YouTube that I really enjoy, who are, Matt D'Avella. So yeah, good luck spelling his last name, but he has some great content. Also Sarah Therese, and she has some really great content and talks a lot about like capsule wardrobes and some cool things. And that's some of my favorite resources. Do you have any, Kasie?
I do. And in fact, if I were to suggest one book or one person to follow, I really love Joshua Becker. He has a great book called The More of Less. And I like how he approaches minimalism so much because he's so open about how much of a heart issue and mindset and lifestyle that it is, rather than the actual stuff. In fact, he says when you walk into his home, you would really not think that he's a minimalist. It looks like a regular home, right? So I really identify with his practical minimalism. I love his stuff a lot. I do follow the Minimalists, which are the 2, oh my goodness, what are their names? They're basically the original Minimalists.
Yeah, they have the documentary on Netflix as well.
The documentary on Netflix is so good. I love that resource. So I follow them on social media. And then there's a blogger named...
as well.
Wait, what?
I think they have a podcast as well.
They do. They have a podcast, and I think they have 2 or 3 books out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're great.
You can find them.
Yes.
Perfect. And then, of course, our friends can go give you a follow and connect with you, because I know you share minimalism tips along with all the other things and hats that you wear. So Absolutely. Where might the listeners go if they want to connect with you, Kasie?
Absolutely. Anything Kasie Girl. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook and even YouTube, although I'm still working on getting my YouTube channel up and running. There's a couple videos for you there. But just Instagram is Kasie Girl and Facebook Kasie Girl. Actually, I did a Google search the other day, and all my stuff was the first items that came up. So I was really pleased with myself. Yes.
Awesome. And I'll have her links in the show notes as well for you guys to check out, as well as some of the resources that we talked about. But I think we're going to kind of wrap things up today. There's so many other things we could talk about, like cloth diapering. And you're just awesome at so many things. Oh, why don't you tell us maybe what's one of your favorite essential oils to just like motivate you to get things done?
Ooh, that's a really good one. I like to use an oil that calms my brain down and an oil that energizes me. So the two oils, do I have to pick just one? It's going to have to be more than one. I usually put on something like Balance or Peace to stop my brain from racing, because when I get an idea about, I'm going to start decluttering this one area in my house, I can go crazy pretty quickly and easily. So I put that oil on my skin, and then I like to diffuse something really refreshing and motivating, such as citrus bliss, peppermint, breathe, or even some spearmint and lime in there, and diffuse that while I am working on a project.
Awesome. Love those hot tips. So good. Well, we'll have to have you back on the podcast another time to talk about some other things. But Thank you so much for joining us today. And Absolutely. I hope you listeners enjoyed it and learned something new. We would love to hear, what are you working on? Are you minimalizing your home, or you're decluttering certain things in your life? So make sure to go over to the Feelin Fab Podcast Instagram page, and we'll have some posts there that you can go ahead and let us know what you're working on, and we will be talking to you in the comments over there.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Kasie. All right, guys, have a great end of the year. We're done with 2020. So have a great end of the year and bring all that fresh new energy into 2021. We can't wait to see, what you come up with this next year, what you accomplish, and just remember to put a smile on and that anything is possible. All right, we'll talk to you next week.